So we've got fantastic evening. What we're going to do, Bev Tindy, let's get the real deal. Let's get a true story, a true journey of property for the last 5 years. What strategies, what challenges, how did you swap from getting a wage into being full-time in property? We've also got Gordon, who is I call him a gas geek because like you can talk hours and hours about gas and everything's gas and boilers. I've never known anybody so passionate about an old boiler. Ka-ching! Anyway, that's our Gordon. Then we've got Jez, who is a qualified electrician. So Jez is going to chat about compliance and regulations and what's coming up in the next few years. Because I know when we're buying properties and clients are buying properties at the minute, they might have an EICR for 5 year, but maybe 4 year old. So my question is, if we got an EICR today, would it qualify or would we need to do some extra work? So it's all about putting into your deal that future money that you may have to put in a couple of years' time when your EICR runs out. And then we've got two absolutely lovely people who are just going to chat a little bit about the event we're having on Monday. So the event we're having on Monday is all about neurodiversity, being on the spectrum. We're a little bit special, how to deal with that, not to deal with it, but like how do we actually channel our superpower? So they're not going to chat about that tonight. They're just going to give a plug for Monday's meeting. And we're going to pick our Lee's brains. So a quick Q&A with Lee, solicitor, partner, director of Cook Law. And I'm wondering, I've got a few questions about stamp duty and how's the sales going, and everybody else, any questions, burning questions that you have, get them out tonight. We've got a swift hour. Let's crack on. It's going to be fully packed, full of information, education, knowledge. Lee, have you got anything to say about that? Oh, we forgot about Wayne. Wayne has done a video. I don't know where the video is, by the way. A very quick, we said a very quick, because you know how Wayne can talk for England. A very quick update on finance and what's changed in the market, because interest rates have been dropping. So I have asked for a video. Lee, I don't know where that video is at the minute.
I don't have it. I will see if we can get hold of him whilst everyone else is having a bit of a chat, and we'll put that on at the end if we can.
Yeah, we'll stick that one on at the end. We planned it that way anyway, didn't we, Lee? Of
Absolutely,
course
yeah.
we did. Of course we did. So let's get Bev up. So Bev Tyndale, are you there? Give us a yee-haw.
Yes, I'm
Woo!
here. I'm here.
Excellent. Hello, everybody, and well done for turning up on a Zoom that is free, obviously, and getting knowledge and education. So well done for that, because you could be watching Dead Enders or Curry. So
No, I'm talking to myself.
oh, somebody's talking to themselves, so I'm just
David
going
Baxter.
to in there. We do it all the time, but one day do it on Zoom in front of everybody, we get sectioned. Anyway, Bev, you've got no slides, because Bev, Bev's Bev, everybody knows
Yeah.
Bev Tyndale. Let's just chat through about when you started in property, how did you get started, some of the challenges. You just tell us and go through the floor, and I'll give you a little nudge if there's any other information we need from you. Just about strategies and what's worked, what hasn't worked, your challenges, and what are you actually doing now. So I'm going to shut up and let you go for it.
Hi, everybody. I've noticed quite a few familiar faces on here, David Silmer and Sharon and Fiona, quite a few anyway that I already know. So, yeah, I started, well, I had my own cleaning company. So that's what I was doing. I was just a glorified cleaner. And then in 2019, the very start of 2019, I saw an advert for a training company. So I decided to go on a one night basic thing in Durham, which we went on, and then we decided we would go and do the 3-day training session, and then I signed up for a 2-year thing. So spent a lot of money that I didn't have, but the outcome of that was I met Debbie and did a lot of property training, and that was, yeah, as I say, 2019. So, and Debbie ended up being my mentor. So yeah, and from there, I had no money. I had no money at all. Once I paid for the 25 grand for the training, I had nothing. So it was just like, what do I do now? So Bev being Bev, I decided to stick my heels in and did my 3-day basic training in the February. And by the April, I bought my first property. So, and then from then on, I thought, how am I going to? I did that with bridging, by the way, as I say, because I had nothing. So from then on, I had my mentorship and stuff with Debbie. I did quite a few courses, but had my mentorship from Debbie. And she was sort of pushing us all the time to try and find some private finance things. And I was just like,
Nick Brown.
I'm a cleaner who's going to invest in me, do you know? But she made us do all these phone calls, made us do this, that, and the other, which was so hard for me because I've never ever asked for money in my life. But I did that, and now I've ended up with I've got 10 properties, some buy to let, some serviced accommodation, and I've had nearly £500,000 worth of private investment. So, and that was just by Mrs. there pushing me out my comfort zone and me actually getting a bit of confidence in myself and doing things. So, yeah, when I was on my mentorship, that was when in 2020, in March, that was when COVID hit. So it was a bit panic stations. So I basically lost my income. I lost my income of £2 a month. So didn't know what I was going to do. So Debbie said, right, this is what you're going to do. You're going to do your sourcing training, and you're going to source some properties because that's what you're good at. So, and that's what I've done ever since. There's a few people on here that I've sourced properties for. Cheers, David and Selma. A few others, but yeah. So I've had a pretty rough time, I suppose, but learned all sorts. Doing everybody says how easy it is to do the sourcing and stuff, and I can tell you hands down it's anything but easy. There's so many things can go wrong all the time, and even getting, because you don't get paid until everything's crossed the line, so till you've completed on your properties, and sometimes that never ever happens, so you've done all that work for nothing. But weathered that storm and got really, I mean, not to blow my own trumpet, but I did get really pretty good at doing the sourcing. Got to know a lot of the agents in Durham and surrounding areas, and worked with Debbie a lot. So we've always basically worked quite a bit together. Then the end of last year, me and another friend of mine, Sarah, decided to set our own SA company up. So we started our own serviced accommodation company called Mandala Stays, if anybody wants to have a look. So we've got properties in that. We don't manage anybody else's property, but we do some rent to rent, and we have our own properties in there. So we basically, most of the time, do serviced accommodation for contractors. So, which is quite good. And if you get into the right nation, if you get in with the right people, you can do quite well with that. So yeah, so that's what over the last year, basically, that's what's been taking me time up, because we did another mentorship in doing that, so we could get to know it inside out, because you always have to know what you're doing and how to set it up and the rest. But then about a month ago, well, I had been doing an assisted sale for one of my clients, and so we've done a lovely bungalow up in Newcastle, And they live down country, so I've been looking after it all and got the full refurb and everything done, and that's now up for sale. I think they've had quite a few viewings on it. So we did the whole refurb for them and actually staged it for them and everything. So I've been doing that, and then about a month ago, me and Debbie had another phone call, and yeah, we decided to go back to red and white again, didn't we? So red hair and white hair for Sunderland, and in we plopped again. So I've been working very closely with Debbie for the last 3-4 weeks. It's like the girls being back together again, isn't it? So yeah, it's been really good. So now I'm sourcing properties for people. We've got a lot of clients from home and abroad. So we're trying to find them some great deals. And we're doing a lot more social housing and working with the charities. So we're managing to get 5-year guaranteed rent leases from our different charities that we're working with. And everything's going from strength to strength, but which I would never have dreamed about 5 years ago. Never in my lifetime. I don't, this is I'm full-time in property now, so I have no other jobs apart from doing this. And by God, you do 16 hours a day, don't you, Debbie? Yeah. So if anybody ever needs anything at all in the Northeast, because we still have really good cash flow and guaranteed rents with our providers, we can help. So Debbie just thought she would introduce me, so I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about myself for the people that don't know us. As I say, there's quite a few people on here that have known us for a few years though. But yeah, so that's Bev Tyndale. That's me, and that's what I do. I cannot hear you, Debbie.
Do you know why?
No.
Oh no, I heard you know why, but that was it.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Right, so basically everybody needs confidence to do property, and we all start. I mean, I used to be at the back of the room, do you know what I mean? And I was the same as you, Bev. I was only earning 12 grand a year full-time in pharmacy,
Yeah.
and I needed 20 odd grand to do me first, I was like, who the hell is going to invest in me? So what we're saying is you don't have to sign up to any 25 grand trainings, because actually that one's went bust. But
Nothing to do with us two, of course.
no, stay close to the fire. Keep going to your networking events. You'll always get golden nuggets. Do your due diligence on people. We're here if you need stuff in the Northeast. We're here if you want any questions. We've got a full power team. So Bev going from cleaning, but obviously she was, she owned a cleaning company, but obviously you've got staff to pay. Then went from no confidence to then bringing an investor, getting that money, and then that was it. It was just to roll on effect. And I know it's been 5 years, but the thing is, we had COVID. Bev was sourcing to get money in to then put in the deals, and obviously she started a rent business. Her and Sarah. So I think you've done really, really well, Bev, to be honest. And I just really wanted to get you out here because people do know you on here, and you're absolutely amazing at what you do. And I think you should be proud of yourself, which you never are. So for you to see blow me on trumpet, I'm going, oh my God, you would never do that. So just to say and thank you, and and Bev's approachable. If you need any advice or anything like that, you can just reach out to her. We're all in this together, and we're doing properly for a reason. So remember what your why is. And that obviously you were put in some really tricky situations with COVID. You couldn't even do a clean anyway. So that probably was a bit of a godsend because it really pushed you. And obviously I was pushing you one way as well, saying you can do this. You're absolutely great with people. Obviously you know everybody in Durham. She is the Queen of Durham. So it's being an expert in your area, but properly sourcing wise, do things properly, set it up as a proper business.
Yeah.
And do the proper training, I would say, with NAPSA.
Yeah. You always need all of your compliance and everything. It's not worth doing it without.
Yeah.
And there's so many different sources around now and some of them are absolute crap. I get some things thrown across my desk that are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That you would never buy. But the thing is that I think when you're first starting out, or when you don't even have to be first starting out, but sometimes you just don't know. You only know what you know. So if so it could be a bad deal, but you aren't going to know, because you're not going to really, if they put the numbers down, or the numbers that they say on a piece of paper, you're going to believe. Do you know, if you think they know what they're talking about, you're going to believe it. And most of the time, it just isn't happening. And once people start realizing what you do, I get a lot of people coming to me now, just off market. They just want to sell the houses, they sell the properties, or landlords that just want to offload the rental properties and things because of everything that's happening. So you get a lot of direct to vendor. Do you know, people, if you're good with people and you do what you say you're going to do, people will trust you. And I'm always there. I'm always there to help with everybody that's bought properties through me, or even just friends that I've networked with and that are from down country. I would quite happily help them with any hassle or anything that they have with any of the properties in the northeast. I would just try and help them sort things out, because I have my own power team and stuff, my builders and what have you. And so I just help and sort things out for people. So if there's ever anything that you need, just get in touch.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Can you hear us still on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And look, you might want to source a couple of properties to get you started and then do it yourself. Don't you don't have to wait. If it all fits in the deal, work out the deal and just make sure that's a real deal. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? There's a lot of probably outside of the north, people outside of the northeast where they source northeast property, but they don't really. And to be honest, I think some of them aren't doing it deliberately. I think they just don't know what they don't know. So it's basically probably that somebody rang me the other Friday, Bev was there, probably for 81 grand. Said, oh, it's got a tenant in, it's okay. And then we've done some research on it. To cut a long story short, the property done up was only worth 75 and it needed a 20 grand refurb. That property hadn't been touched since 2010, and they had bought it at auction at 49 grand a few months before. So if that investor had bought that from London, didn't view it, they were pressurising on deposits and put your deposit down, all of this. If they had bought that on a bridge, their life would be screwed.
Yeah.
You know, if somebody had, if they had bought it on a bridge or something like that, they would never got revalued, and they were pressurising for the sale. So just be careful out there. You know how to do your due diligence. Yes, we're lovely people, like to trust people, but you must do your due diligence on everything. And if you want to learn how to do your due diligence properly, I am doing a free webinar on the 20th of November, which I'll email and put out there just to help you. Is it a deal or no deal? How to do your due diligence step by step. What do I do? And then I can go, no, it's not for me. Or actually, yes, it's a good deal. Identifying it, because time's energy, energy's money, and we just need to get these deals and make a quick decision. So that's lovely. Bev, do you want to put your details in the little chat box if anybody wants to chat, even if they're doing rent to rent? I know you don't manage anybody's, but you might be able to give advice on how to furnish them, or if they're looking to buy property in the northeast to do service accommodation. And you've done buy-to-let, you've done supported living, you've done supported living, service accommodation, rent to rent. Yeah. So there's a lot there. It's got lots of connections as well.
And creative finance.
Yeah, or creative finance, vendor finance. So that's a bit from Bev. Has anybody got any questions for Bev? Would anybody like to ask any questions, or do you want to just contact her direct? No, nothing in the chat?
I've terrified them, look, I've terrified them.
You might not be able to understand
A Geordie accent.
Yes. So Chris Brown saying, how did you establish the contractor business? You just reached out to certain contractors, didn't you?
Yeah.
On that. People that you knew on the area.
Yeah. Just when I used to have when I first started doing SA, and I just had them with a management company, and I did actually get some contractors in my properties when I had them up. But then I got to know the lads and that, and then I got in touch with the company and been in touch with other companies, and that's how I managed to get them. And if you keep a good property, you know,
Yeah.
you'll always get clients.
Yeah, and David and Simla, they've used your services,
Yes.
services, and said they can vouch for you. So that's great. And you know, it is doable. You just need to buy the right way, and when you buy, that's when you make your money. Not with capital growth. You need both capital growth and cash flow. So somebody has one question. We'll give one question to. Is it Attica? Is that how we say that? Yeah, Attica. Do you want to stick your question in there? In the box, or you can actually unmute yourself. It's up to you.
Hi. Thank you for holding this. Now, what I would like to understand, if, for example, I want, because you know, you buy houses, then you make some management because you want to get more money. And if, for example, I find a deal and then I go and look at it and I say, okay, let's make a bit of transformation here. What are the standards? Because I don't want to be, how can I say? I don't want to be sued later on by any tenant saying that the requirements are not, followed, and and if, for example, I didn't follow the requirement, can they sue me, or do I have to reimburse? You see, I just want to understand.
Is that for SA, for serviced accommodation, Attica, or is it for buy-to-let or charity properties?
Oh, do they differ? Okay, if we do buy-to-let, for example, yeah, because that's what most people do.
Yeah.
If, for example, I do buy-to-let, so we get the house and then put some tenant inside, is it? So if, for example, I've transformed it a bit, and then to get more space and to say maybe it's a 4-room property, something like that, what are the dimensions of my property?
Do you think it depends on the area and whether they're getting rent from the council, doesn't it? Because it's private. I don't think it really matters. Bev, what do you think?
If it's a buy-to-let, as long as you've got it at a decent standard, where you can get a decent tenant, so you can get like a full market rent, and you can put it to just a normal working family. You need to have it at a decent standard to do that. You can do any size basically, but obviously if it was an HMO or whatever, you would need to have
The rooms need to be a certain size, don't they?
yeah, and you would need to have a license and stuff for that. With serviced accommodation, it depends, because you can have any size of property for serviced accommodation. Most of mine are 3 and 4 beds, so you can get more people in. But yeah, with it being contractors. So, but as long as you've got a nice product, if you've got a nice product, you can get a decent tenant, and people will come back to stay as well if it's serviced accommodation.
Yeah, it's getting your host reviews or
Yeah.
something, Bev?
Yeah, if you can get your reviews and that in.
Yeah.
5-star reviews and things.
But Attica, you can contact Bev direct. One more question, Bev. A lady's asking, I think it's a lady, I've just seen the message. What's the best strategy do you think to do at the moment?
Well, at this time of year, the SA is a little bit harder over the winter times and things. I would never. I mean, we started at this time of year last year, which wasn't the best move, but for building up the company anyway. But I like my buy-to-lets. I do like my buy-to-lets, and the guaranteed rents from the charities and stuff as well, because around here we use local charities, so it's all local people that it's helping. It's local charities that help local people, and that's where my heart is. Basically, that's where my heart lies.
Yeah, so supported living, guaranteed rent, supporting local communities, and And these charities, yeah, you really have to do due diligence on charities and community interest companies as well to do a housing, because they need to be good business people as well. Even though it's non-profit, they need to know how to run a property business, which sometimes you don't get, and you find out there's certain registers you can look at, certain CICs have went bust, bless them, by not running the property business the right way. So the charities we use have been going for 20 years, plus one of them's 50 years, one of them's 40 years. So having that historic sort of what am I looking for, about the historic reputation of paying the rents, looking after their clients, giving the right support. So tick tick tick. So
and the work with the local councils and the local housing authorities as well.
Yeah, and something I heard the other day actually, so there might be some people here who Mia's, you might have heard of Mia's a circle. So actually they've no Mia's properties are allowed now in the northeast to say they're full. So I think you can get them in Yorkshire, but Mia's is more social housing. So there is a difference between social housing and supported living. But actually we could do a full Zoom on that, to be fair. So we could look into that, because it is, the supported living to me is a really, really good strategy. So thank you, Bev. People are getting in touch, and but thank you. And any questions, just get in touch with Bev direct. But yeah, keep plugging away. I wear the boxing gloves because at the end of the day,
that's what she hits me with.
she doesn't perform. I think the thing is, like, property isn't like straightforward, and you do have them ups and downs. This is why you need a good support network, a good power team. Don't try and do it on your own. And I don't mean that you have to pay for sourcing or anything like that. You can literally turn up your local network meetings, ask the questions, network, and build up your little team, your little power team, and you can all help each other. Your value will be there as well, and you can help support them, because there's always somebody first starting off where you can say, I've been there, and support them and look after them and help them on their journey. It's all about collaboration and giving back. So that's great, Bev. Thank you very much, my lovely. And anybody can get in touch with Bev.
Anybody, just WhatsApp me.
Yeah. So next I think we'll get up Gordon. So Gordon is passionate about gas. Not after mushy peas.
I hope not.
So Gordon, why I've got you on is because you're so knowledgeable about, like, sort of boilers, plumbing, but you're a proper gas fitter, aren't you? And I know you do other jobs as well, and you work with our Jamie, who and you're just starting to do some of our refurbs as well on that, which will be ramping up next year. So how can you, and if anybody's got any questions, stick them in the box for Gordon. It comes up to winter. You've got October, November, December, and you get call outs from the letting agent for your boiler. I think a lot of people do CP12s, but they don't service the boiler every year because it's an extra expense. And to me, it's just like, when I first started, I went, I'll just do the CP12. I'm not going to bother servicing. But that boiler ticking over, and it's like you need that. So do you want to give us some tips on how to maintain our boilers, how to look after, and that means a happy tenant, doesn't it? We've got a happy boiler.
Yeah, 100%.
And a little bit about what you do. Is that all right?
Yeah, fine. I've actually made a few notes, and you've already hit a couple of those things off straight away. And the first thing I always say to people is, what's the difference between a service and a CP12? And the next question to follow is, what's the difference between an MOT on a car and a service on a car? And that's the best way to think about it. And the logic says an MOT is a legal requirement. I can't remember the amount of checks you need to go through. But obviously from a CP12, a gas safe it's literally testing the safety of the gas appliances in the property, where a service is a lot more. It is one of my big gripes with landlords, sorry guys, but I get it so many times where, oh, I had it serviced last year. Or did you have it serviced last year? Or did you have a CP12? There's a huge difference. And the other one, which I'll highlight this and it all links in, is a lot of people put new boilers into properties, 5-year warranty, 10-year warranty, so on and so forth. Yet they fail to get serviced every year. So technically speaking, your warranty is invalid. And the first thing, I'm actually a warranty partner for ATAG. And the first thing I'm asked to do by the company is to look into the manual and look at the service record. If there's a blank space in the service record and or there's several blank spaces and it's year 3, 4, 5, whichever year, it's invalid. So you've kind of shot yourself in the foot by not following protocol. And the same applies to vehicles as well. Obviously, I know there's certain ways around it. People will sometimes pay people to backdate the service log, etc., etc. But the reality is, I personally think the white box on the wall, as a lot of people just assume it is pretty important in a house. It's, you know, your oven breaks, you can live with that a lot longer than your heat and your hot water breaking. That's how I look at it. So I think an emphasis on putting in a quality product and looking after it is, to me personally, as an investor as well, is quite big. And I've obviously coached a few people along the way to sort of make them realize that, you know, buy a 5-year warranty boiler is going to shoot yourself in the foot in several years' time. Where if you buy one a bit more quality and look after it and do the basic checks they're asking for, you're going to get so much more out of it. There's obviously a lot more to it as well. I mean, I made a few more notes. If you bear with us 2 seconds, the phone's just died off there. So one of the things I like to talk about a lot is the diet of the boiler, which sounds really bizarre, but if you've got so I've fitted hundreds of boilers over the years, right? And every job you go to is different. So one of the manufacturer's instruction requirements when you fit a new boiler is to conduct a power flush, which basically means to get rid of all of the gunk flying around your system. Landlords fall into the category quite often of, I just want a cheap boiler. And trust me, if you get a cheap boiler, you're not getting a power flush. I know that, because I know a lot of people will not power flush. You might get lucky and you might get someone who does it as a favor, or you might be really lucky that the system's just genuinely clean. But if you've got a bad diet running through your radiators, it's going to go and clog your boiler up and it's going to kill your boiler off a lot quicker. So my personal opinion would be, I think the requirements every 5 years, the manufacturers ask you to flush your system. It's expensive, which is probably why people don't want to get it done. I think British Gas charges something like £800. So you get a local person and it's maybe £300 to £500. So it's, you know, you're going to have to pay just as you would do on anything to maintain it. But the reality is, cleansing the system is going to actually add years onto your boiler and make it run more efficiently, so on and so forth. I'm sure everyone's probably heard of magnetic filters on the boiler, which is another little device which basically captures any magnetic particles, prevents the boiler from breaking down. Another regulation which has been brought into place that you have to have one of those on. Now, landlords, again, fall into the category where I need a cheaper boiler. So what does the engineer do? Pulls off that part, which is £100 or thereabouts. You can get cheaper ones, but he makes the price cheaper for the landlord. So again, you're shot in the foot because you think you've got a good quality product at a cheap price, but actually what you've done is just broke your boiler in 5, 6 years' time by letting that gunk fly around the system, and then you'll have no hot water or heat. And it's going to always happen at the worst time of year, isn't it? And then it's self-perpetuating then, because you're going to get another cheap engineer to come out and repair it because you haven't looked after the system. And it's that textbook sort of do it right once and you'll see it again in a few years' time. Do it wrong once and you'll see it in a few years' time quicker. And if you do it right once, you should get the longevity out of it, and it should be under warranty. So it's basic fundamentals to me. Just landlords understanding there's a big difference between a serviced boiler and a CP12. Now, here's my little tip for you. If, for example, you, Debbie, said to me, right, I've got 10 boilers in 10 properties, can you do servicing on them? When my first question would be, when's the CP12 due? Or various different dates. So I'll say, why don't we combine them? Why don't you and I strike a little deal to say a service is £70 or £75, CP12, £70, £75, whatever it is. I'll do it a little bit cheaper for you because all I've got to go is an extra 20, 30 minutes on my service, and combine them. Have a little chat with your engineer and ask them to do that, because then you've saved a bit of money and they've also got a little bit of extra work for not that much more work. But my key point is, make sure they're actually doing a service. Ask for photos. Just say, can you do us a quick picture of the internals of your boiler? And then you're going to get that. And they might say, why do you want to do that? It's not a check on you as such. It's more to do with, like, you're just trying to check to see whether they're actually conducting a full full service. There are people driving around and you'll see on their vans full strip down service. Chances are they are doing a full strip down service. You pay more for that. So I've had several boilers. Everyone will have heard of Baxi before. Very popular boiler in the northeast, like really, really popular. They have a gas chamber seal, and it's a legal requirement or a manufacturer's request requirement, I should say, to change that seal every 5 years. Failure to do so, unfortunately, your boiler starts to heat up the gas seal and basically deteriorates it, and then you end up with an internal flame inside the case, and it can set on fire. It does set on fire, and that's because you haven't followed the service record requirements. How many people get that changed? Not as many people as I would like. It's an oversight because they just think the person turns up, fills in a little bit of paperwork, and it seems to be all right. We've all been to car garages before, and you think, did they change the oil? Did they change the filter? You don't know. Ask for the receipt. Ask for the change of parts. Ask for photo evidence. You're paying for it. It's your product, so I don't see why not. So that'd be my personal opinion. Get on top of your boilers. Get the right boiler in there. Get the right engineer who's actually a bit more passionate about what they're doing. Pay them the right amount of money. Cheapest will not be best. Trust me. You're just getting a big tick. Oh yeah, I've done your CP12. They haven't. They've just done. I think British Gas were quite bad for this years ago. They were just doing a safety check for a service, which is basically just to analyze the boiler to see if it's running safe. There's a big difference. They're not stripping it down. They're not looking at the things that fail. So yeah, I think those fundamentals are my passion. Landlords should be really taking charge of that. Get a good engineer who knows what they're talking about. Pay them well to do what they need to do, so you get longevity out of that boiler. But get it flushed, get it clean, put a filter in there. That's going to get you more longevity than anything. Okay, boilers can break, anything can break on it at the end of the day. You can have a brand new car and it can fail. But if it's under warranty, great, it's under warranty, get them out. Have you had a service? Yes, I have. There's the documentation. Fine. Everything's smooth there, isn't it? So that would be me personally giving you some basic advice. A lot of it is potentially patronizing. I'm sorry if that comes across like that, but
No,
I
it's
think
not. We need to know. We need to know. And do you know what it is? Going, we don't know what we don't know because we're not. So for me,
exactly.
I would be expecting my letting agent, we're all doing lettings and management now, by the way, our letting agent to say you need a service in CP12.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't even, obviously, they might just say you need a CP12. So can we ask on here, who is a landlord where you know you've got that warranty on your boilers? You know, I used to say I wanted a boiler with a 7-year warranty. I didn't know anything about the flush.
Yeah.
Like until I mean we sat for hours talking about boilers and gas and all
Yeah,
sorts
yeah,
of stuff because obviously I weren't with us now. It's like we don't know, and that is all money at the end of the day and inconvenience for the tenant. So has
100%.
anybody got any questions for Gordon quickly on that? I would like to ask, what is the worst boiler that we could get put in? I know what the best one is. I want you to do a separate presentation on that. But what is the worst boiler that we could get?
To be fair, it's an easy one and a hard one. A really bad boiler is the cheapest boiler you can get on a bad system. That's the
Yeah.
honest truth. You can put a cheap. I know some people put cheap boilers in on a really clean system and it's done okay. But at the same time, what the problem you have with cheap boilers. So, for example, 5-year warranty one. Once the 5 years has gone past, you look for a failed part on a cheap boiler. For example, a PCB, a motherboard. It's not a £200 part anymore. It's like a £600 part. And you're like, well, and the boiler was only 700. Well, I'm sorry, but that's what it costs. They kind of have you a little bit like that, which is why you've got to get one that works for you and your budget. I mean, personally, I would always say longest warranty possible, and then you're covered. You don't need any insurance policies after that. Your insurance policy is you getting it serviced every year. That's the top and bottom of it. And your CP12, get it combined, comply with the regulations, comply with the manufacturer's instructions. And then after that, it's just down to good luck, bad luck, isn't it? But then you've got it covered. Your headache's gone. It's completely disappeared. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if there's any questions, anyone want to ask me anything, I'm more than happy to chat about boilers and gas and bits and bobs like that. And I can give you my contact details for that as well.
And one great I've got, I'll just say quickly before we get Jez on, the electrician, is when the letting agent saying the boilers went off, and then I'll go, obviously, right, well, obviously it'll be you doing the now, but like, you know, get your gas engineer out, or this is what's wrong with it, it's £200. Yeah, okay, that's fine, you know, the temps out heating do that. 3 weeks down the line, the boilers went off. Oh, it's this. I go, hang on, you were just out there 3 weeks ago and you said that was £200, and now this is something different. And it's like, and sometimes you just feel like that they're putting the wrong thing. They're trying to guess
So,
at what's
yeah.
wrong with the boiler. 200 quid a time. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like,
So
that.
there's
That's
two different
ridiculous.
types of engineers, is what I say. There's the ones who are a bit weirdly geeky like me, who want to figure out why. Like I call it a Jack Russell after a ball. I want to know why that boiler's broke. I don't care how long it takes. I just need to find out the answer, because that's just engineers' thinking process. And then there's the ones, and if you go to the merchants, which obviously I do, and we have this chat with the merchants, and they'll say you can tell the good engineers versus the bad engineers. The good engineers buy one part, the bad engineers buy three, because they don't know what they know it's approximately this, and then they'll charge
Yeah.
the customer £500, £600, where I might charge them £300 or £400, still expensive. But I've used my intelligence and I've used my background and figured out why that part is broken, and
Yeah.
then actually know that that part should make it work. Sometimes there's been the odd occasion where it doesn't, but that's just engineering and the way things are. But yeah, you do get a daisy chain effect, though. That's the only thing. You do get like one part links to another part links to another, and sometimes that can be. But my personal opinion was start with the cheapest part if that's the case,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
no.
have a chat with your customer and say, look, do you want to replace this once we've got past £300, or should we look at the fact it's a 10-year boiler, and maybe
Yeah.
you know, have transparency, have a chat with the customer or the owner of the property. It's just common business sense to me. But then there's obviously people who just want to make money out of you as well. So there's two different parts there, isn't there?
Yeah, that's great.
There's a
Thank you very
question.
much.
There's a question in the chat box. We know heat pumps are very expensive. Looking
Yeah.
into the future, do you see a point to where it'll become economical to fit heat pumps?
So my opinion on heat pumps is I will get the answer that they're really good, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet. I think at some point they're very good on new builds when it's insulated and done right. Definitely, 100%. But it's not a cheap way to run. Does that make sense? Because electricity, I think if you look at the kilowatt rating per hour, is something like 4 times more expensive, or 3.5 more times expensive than gas. You've got a better calorific value in gas, so it burns and turns into heat. So they're about the same. I do think they'll come down in price. The reason why I haven't gone down it yet is because gas isn't going away in my career. It's not disappearing. So I'm sort of thinking, well, better the devil I know than the devil I don't. But at the same time, there's a lot of the government have obviously got funding for people, and just like a lot of these schemes. Remember, years ago, solar panels popped up everywhere, and these businesses disappeared. It's the same concept. There's a lot of people taking advantage of these schemes, so they're not installed properly. You really need to go on some really clever courses to figure out all of the ins and outs of it. So yes, I think they'll become efficient to run, cheaper to install. Like anything, product prices come down the more people install. Just to give you a statistic, if I remember rightly, boiler sales are approximately 30% down. Heat pump sales are 30% up, so there's a balance there. So it is slowing down in terms of boilers, but it's replaced by heat pumps. But that's predominantly because of the kickback from the government, and obviously new builds not allowed gas on new builds anymore. But obviously that goalpost keeps on changing based on our lovely government. So we'll see where that goes in the
That's
years.
great. David and Selma said, great answer. So we might have Gordon on every week actually for 5 minutes just to
Oh, I'll
chat
talk
about
about anything.
So, Gordon, that was fantastic. Thank you so
No
much.
problem.
Your knowledge. I mean, that is just a tiny little bit. I mean, Gordon can, you know, go through anything. Very educated in what he does, and an expert in what he does. So let's get Jez. Are you there?
I am, yeah, I'm here.
Hiya, Jez.
Hello.
Just to chat a little bit about, you know, as landlords, and one of my thing is when you buy a property, whether, you know, it's a 5-year EICR, let's say it's been going for 4 years, it's got 1 year left. Yes, you're compliant at that point, but I would rather, for me, get you in to say, right, check it. Does it pass today and you'll go, no, you need to spend this money on it, rather than say, well, let it last another year, and then, because I would rather do the work now, get it for another 5 years, because the year after there could be even more things. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it.
The good thing is with an EICR is that it does, just because, say, in 2019, the 18th edition electrical regulations came out, they only apply to installations from that date. So if you've got a property that's got rewired 20, 25 years ago, that doesn't mean that that's not compliant now. As long as you're taking steps to keep it up to date, you're getting your EICRs done, you're replacing anything that's broken, and maybe in that time the consumer unit's been upgraded, the wiring will last you 35, 40 years, no problem, with regular testing. A lot of people don't realise that, and as I say, if you've only got a year left on your EICR and it passed 4 years ago, there's no reason why it wouldn't pass in a year's time.
Right. That's really interesting. That's going to save me a bit longer.
It will, and it's there's a lot of things that people would recommend to be done, but they don't need to be done. And that's the difference. So if you were buying a house to rent out, you've got to look for certain things. But if you're going to buy a house that you're going to obviously fully renovate to then rent out, that's totally different, because you'll have to have everything done to the 18th edition if you're going to start changing the fuse board, getting things rewired, etc., etc.
To get that right, okay then.
So there's a massive difference in cost as well.
Yeah.
Between
what about on exits as well? So on escape, which you've got to have now a metal box instead of a plastic one, haven't you?
So basically anywhere within the house, when you're getting an EICR done, there's 3 categories. You've got a C1, a C2 and a C3. So those 3 mean C1 is it needs rectified urgently. If it was me, I would probably ring the landlord and say, I need to do this before I leave. There's a risk, it's basically a risk to life. The second one is a C2, which could be potentially dangerous. And the third one is just a recommendation. So really, the fuse box being plastic on an EICR up to now is just a recommendation to upgrade that.
Right.
You don't actually need to get that done.
Right.
So there's people will do it because they want the money, but it doesn't need done.
Wow. And do you know, like, if anybody's got any questions, pop them in the box, by the way. Bev, has any questions there? So Jez, what about oh God, what was I going to ask there again? Is there any questions? Because I'm taking over, that's not good. Let's see. Let's see. Bev, can you say any questions there?
So one thing if you are going to get an EICR done, or you need an EICR, make sure that the person who's doing it is registered with either NAPIT or
that's what I was going to ask. What are they qualified? Yeah.
Because when you're registered with one of those, you've had to prove to them. I pay about £600 a year to be registered with NAPIT, and that's just to say that they know that I can do my job properly. I'm qualified, and I hold all the qualifications that I need to do it. To actually do an EICR, you don't need to be a qualified electrician. You can just be a competent person, which is mad. So I've had a lot of people contact me to do an EICR before they buy a property. And I did one recently where the customer who got me asked for the EICR done. The seller had one done 2 days prior to me doing it by someone they knew, who was just a competent person. There was no NAPIT or NIC, EIC on the certificate. I then tested the house 2 days later and found over £1,000 worth of remedial works that would need done just to make it safe.
Wow.
This is exactly what happens, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, and it's a good thing as well if you're looking to buy them. Just when you're looking, if you go to view a property, if you go to do anything, take photos, ask an electrician, take a photo of the fuse board, take a photo of the positions of the sockets, if they're on the skirting board, or if the fuse board looks old, it probably is. So just make sure, have a little look around, look at if the sockets are on the skirting boards, the wiring's probably 40 plus years old. Do you know what I mean? And people will change a consumer unit to pass an EICR just so everything's protected, everything. But the wiring could be 40, 45 years old. And if you're going to buy a property that you want to move people into or rent out, you don't want to have to decorate the whole house, get a kitchen in, get a bathroom in, and then 4 or 5 years down the line, think it needs a rewire.
Wow, that's really, really interesting. So, last question for you, Jez.
Yeah.
What would a 3-bedroom, what should we be looking for as for a rewire for a 3-bedroom house?
There's a massive scope. What I would say is if you're going to rent them out, keep it simple. Don't put downlights everywhere. Don't put anything that can go wrong. Try not to put them in. Put a pendant in the middle of the room. Put a waterproof bathroom light in. Make sure you put a fan in and leave it at that. But the prices of cable, everything have shot up. But if you can get a rewire for a 3-bedroom basic semi between £3,500 and £4,000, then that's it. That's a good sort of price. But also look at times as well, because people will drag them out. They'll try and get a bit more money. Whereas I do a few for Jamie. That's it. That's how I've got into the group, and we'll do a full rewire, first fix, second fix, consumer unit, everything in a day.
Wow, that is fantastic. Don't put your number on there, Jez, will all be ringing you.
So we'll get in, we'll do it, it'll be ready, it'll be signed off, it'll be registered with building control, all done in a day.
Wow, that is impressive, right? Don't give your number, they're all going to be after you, your main.
Yes, I'll put my details in, so if anyone needs, anything done in the future, just give us a message. Or if you're going to look at a property and you've got a few concerns beforehand, take a photo of the consumer unit, as I say, and send them over, and you can advise a bit, but it's best that you get in and have a look.
Know, won't you, if you have to go,
if you really doubt it, for the sake of 140 quid, 150 quid, get an EICR done yourself. And if I go in and pick up, it needs a rewire, you've saved 100, you know that you're going to expect that, and your profits, you know what to expect beforehand.
And you can negotiate if you're buying a property and you go, right, well, it does need a rewire.
You can,
and then we're going to need the plaster, and then we're going to need the paint. Then you just go back and go, look, we're going to have to do this work, negotiate.
You could spend £140 on an EICR, and then basically, if they're prepared to meet in the middle, you could get the house rewired for free.
Yeah, definitely.
So always keep an eye on that as well.
That was absolutely amazing. Gordon, Jez, you've been absolutely fantastic. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great. Add lots and lots of value as per usual. Now, have we got any questions for our very own Lee Gilder? Because he loves to be used and abused. Now, I just want you to ask him a couple of questions. Any legal questions? Don't be scared. He's very, very friendly, and you're not in the room with them, so you can't actually bite you. Any questions for Lee? Lee, I want to ask one actually while trying to think about it. I think sometimes people are a bit scared to ask a legal question, aren't they, when they've got a solicitor on the Zoom. But for me, 5% stamp duty, right? Everybody's like, did people drop off the sales? Did any of your cases drop off? Are people still buying? Has it made any difference in the Northeast? I know you do London stuff as well. You're not just in the Northeast. You do stuff outside the Northeast as well. So has it made any difference to sales and stuff like that?
In my firm and for my clients, not at all. I had a few conversations with clients that they tried to say, could we exchange? Could we do this? Can we have this? But the files weren't ready to exchange, so it wasn't possible to do it. And all the clients that I've got, they've got good business plans, they've got good strategies, they know what they're doing, they know the path they're going down. So the extra bit of money, although nobody wants to pay any extra money, granted, whether it's tax, whether it's whatever, it doesn't really affect them because they are able to either negotiate it if they needed to, or they can swallow the cost because they've done their figures so well that, yes, the increase isn't great, but it doesn't skew the figures so bad that it renders it completely, off in terms of a deal. And I think that's the biggest point I think my clients have, because they just didn't, nobody wants to pay the money, but at the end of the day, if you've got your strategy and your business there, it shouldn't mean that you have to abort a matter as a result of an extra 2% on what in the Northeast, and most people here operate in the Northeast, is not really that much money in the grand scheme of what you're all doing. So it didn't affect any of my clients. It hasn't affected any sales we've done. It hasn't affected any potential chains that we're in when there's an investor involved. So
Yeah, that's it. The
not
change.
not really. It boiled my proverbials when it was all going on because it was just, I did have clients saying, "Oh, I wanted to complete sooner because we knew this was going to happen." And as far as I was aware, this was not even on the card at all in
No,
terms of
I
what
was
was going to
saying people
happen.
didn't know. Somebody rang me today now and they went, "Me solicitor in exchange." I went, "Well, they probably wouldn't have knew." And like, can you
Nobody
imagine if
knew.
everybody went to exchange? Like, it would have just been an absolute
Yeah. And my
carnage,
point
wouldn't
of it
it?
all is if the file, if for those, because there was lots of LinkedIners and lots of those, keyboard warriors going around, we've stayed up till midnight and we've worked really hard and we've managed to get all these clients through. I just think that's a load of crap because if the file, if that was the case, the file was ready to exchange, so why hasn't it exchanged sooner?
Yeah.
So my stuff and my client, they just weren't ready. There was no way on earth it could have been turned around any faster than it was being done. And you have to remember when people are exchanging with delayed completions or exchanging to try and, jump something like that, you have to have a substantial performance. You can't just exchange subject to searches, exchange subject to your due diligence, exchange day one after opening a file because it doesn't work like that. You have to have substantial performance for it to be effective and for that to have worked. And I don't know any local firms or friends of mine that are solicitors that this are really affected because it just wasn't, the files are not there. And when they're not there, they're not there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. So it's never affected the Northeast. And if anybody, Leigh, I don't know whether you want to put your details in there. I mean, we'll be sending it out on email, but if anybody wants to contact you for any information, I think sometimes people get a little bit scared when they're on Zoomy and to ask any legal questions in case. But no questions, a stupid question. That's why we're here now. So if you've got any questions for Leigh, just stick it in there. Leigh, that was fantastic. Me and Leigh's on the razzle, aren't we, on Saturday?
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, we're going to a charity too.
Be a good event. Full of property investors and lots of money, hopefully.
Yes, exactly. So thanks, Leigh. That's brilliant. And Leigh's our solicitor who we use. So just reach out to Leigh. The next thing I want to mention is neurodiversity. So on Monday we've got a couple of absolute superstars. We've got Dan McCabe and we've got Steph Hunter. They both got loads of letters after the name, I think, more than that in the alphabet. But I just wanted them to have like a literally 2 minute come on Zoom, tell us what the meeting's going to be all about because I think it's about awareness. So and as entrepreneurs, in my opinion, business people and property people, it's like you look around and like we are on the spectrum, I think a lot of us. So Darren, I don't know that Steph's in yet, but Darren, do you just want to have a little chat about what we're doing on Monday and anything that you can help people with on the Zoom and make them aware of their superpower and how they can channel it?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us. I guess just more so it's bringing awareness and actually what ADHD is and autism. I think there's a misconception that people who have a neurodiverse suffer a lot of challenges, but actually there's a lot more strengths to it. And as Debbie said, we're going to mention that and we're going to mention and discuss kind of the role of ADHD within possible property, but actually looking at what people's strengths are, hyper focusing, but also we will look into some of maybe the hidden aspects that people aren't aware of. And I think that's really about it. First is just to get an understanding, broader understanding, awareness, and then, looking at the stigma. There shouldn't be really stigma and things around it. In a nutshell, I think that's it, Debbie.
Yeah, that's really good, and it's going to be a really fantastic event on Monday. It is in the Northeast. It is in the host muted me. Who's the host? I thought it was me. Oh, am I on now? Yes. So it's going to be a fantastic meeting. Sunderland, it's going to be free. We're going to celebrate because actually it's the last Sunderland meet of the year. We did have one last Monday, but this is more about having that awareness, any life hacks, not life hacks, but help and awareness. Darren's a prescriber as well, not that he's going to give us drugs, but you know, he'll be aware of things for us to be aware of and just give us some advice. And then we've got Steph as well, who's absolutely amazing. So really looking forward to your talk on Monday. And I think, you know, people are going to get a little bit of awakening when they're in the room and go, oh, actually, that could be me and I need help with this, and this. And just, as we say, being aware of it. As well. And how do you get diagnosed? Do you want to get diagnosed? Do we need to, or is it just something that, you know, we can just sort of want to know, as you say, channel that superpower into our skills, but then we need help on the back end with the other bits that we just don't engage in, don't see. It's just like big massive gaps, isn't it? And I'm going to chat about my experience as well. Like, I haven't been diagnosed or anything, but there's definitely something there, and quite a few were actually. I'm like, this is going to be such a good evening. So yeah, that's great, Darren. I don't think Steph can make it. She's not on here now. I know she was traveling from Dublin, wasn't it? Lee sounded put no shit.
Can I
No
just quickly
shit
add
together.
something to stamp duty just before everybody goes?
Oh, you had to spoil the superpower.
I know I had to spoil it, but just next year, really quickly, the rates come down again in March. So it's just to be aware that they're going pre-COVID rates now. So just
Right,
to be aware of that.
excellent. Oh, that's interesting. So let's get filling our boots. So basically what we need to do in January, go like the clappers.
It's
to
stamp
start
duty, I think. Was it Lee? Stamp duty?
Stamp duty, yeah. So
Oh,
it's
so it's
currently,
gone back down.
Yeah.
so it's moving on I think from the 31st of March, it's going back. So it's up to 125,000, which is what it was pre-COVID. I think at the moment it's 250.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it goes up in the kind of increments that it does, so 5%, 7%, and so on. But it's moving back down to pre-COVID, so it's going to cost more.
Yeah. Oh, that right. Okay, then so we need to look at that, don't we? Wayne's not here. We haven't got his video. I don't know what we can do late unless we just put it on the Facebook groups or whatever. But I haven't got a video. Have you?
I don't know where he sent it. I'm not sure. I think we can just put it in the chats, the WhatsApps and stuff, and then people can just watch it.
Yeah, okay then. We'll get you an update, but I think it's been a really good session. Just want to get Darren on there just to tell us what's happening on Monday. Obviously, it's in the northeast. It's going to be brilliant. There is some tickets left for the 7th of December for the Christmas party. What happens in the Vermont stays in the Vermont. That's all I'm saying. And then we've got you'll be getting emails with the no deal or no deal. It's a webinar to help you identify deals quickly. Monday the 18th, we've got the neurodiversity with Steph and Darren and superpowers. And on the Tuesday, we've got London on the 19th, which is, it's going to be busy, isn't it? Which is actually going to be permitted development, all the new rules, what we can do, which is quite exciting actually. So that's what we're going to be doing in London. It will be recording. We'll probably put it on the YouTube channel. When it sort of gets there. But I think that's it. And then December we're really calming down because we want to have a good, you know, a good chill out, don't we, Lee? It's party.
We'll all be
it's
too
party
drunk.
month. Yeah, it's party month.
All
So
of December.
so the next deal clinic is 11th of December. It's going to be fancy dress, Christmassy. We're going to have a proper Christmas party on Zoom, and we're going to really pull it out the bag with a really good speaker. We just haven't thought who that is yet. But we will beforehand. So well done, Bev. Well done, Jed, Gordon, Lee, Darren. Thank you everybody for just turning up and getting all this knowledge. If you like us, you know, just give us a little shout out on social media. And if anybody, you know, we need to help others. So if anybody, tell them what you got out of it. If you thought was shit, don't even bother. But if you thought was great, get yourself out there and yeah. And you know, any other topics that you think that you would like to hear about, just messages. And yeah, well, yeah, that's it. I think that's it. So it's good night from him, her, me, everybody. Have a great evening. Get yourself a glass of wine, and I'll see you next month. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.